Next session is focusing on natural and cultural attractions. We'll start with the cultural attractions, and later on Jelena will join me and tell you something more about the natural attractions. As far as I could understand, when you were saying who you are, many of you are actually dealing with cultural in a destination or some kind of museums, as I understood. Super, then you can share your experience regarding accessibility in culture. My job is much easier now because I heard what Federica said in the morning, later on Roberto, then Natasha, and Jelena told me half of my presentation, so-called. So it's going to be very easy to actually maybe move a little bit further on what you already heard before. While cultural institutions matter, let's think about tourism for a while, and we are focusing now, and whole this education is focusing for tourism stakeholders. However, cultural institutions are extremely important, not just if you think of museums, galleries, theaters, heritage sites. There are places which are not just merely there for us to place some kind of objects and make them seen by different visitors, local communities, or some tourists. There are places where we are actually clustering and cherish our identities, our cultural stories. We celebrate our past, and we are connecting to our heritage altogether. This is a huge issue, not issue, but very important when it comes to tourism. You can imagine that there are the same destinations with the same culture, with the same traditions, with the same way of living. Culture altogether makes our destination different. It makes us unique. Opatija is unique. Trieste is completely different, although we are very close, 1 hour drive, 115 minutes or so. But we are different, and people, when they are sometimes many, I think around 20% of the people think about the culture and what they can learn about the culture in a destination that they are visiting, are thinking about, and sometimes cultural heritage and traditions are the main motives for traveling and choosing certain destinations. So therefore, making cultural institutions and culture altogether accessible to everyone is an imperative on its own. Not just for tourists. The cultural institutions are very important for local communities, because local community, through those cultural institutions, are fostering their sense of belonging, and they are actually also sharing their stories about their way of living and so on. And we have been conducting many research regarding tourism development and how people, local communities, are seeing different impacts of tourism. And I must say that at least 5 years from now, we have been asking lots of people in Croatia, all over Croatia, what do they think about different kind of impacts, economic, social, cultural, as well as environmental, and they always cherish the highest the impacts regarding meeting new people, new traditions. They feel proud when tourists who are visiting our sites, our destinations, if they see that tourists are interested in how do they make their wine, their olive oil, how do they prepare food, and how do they live on a daily basis. So this is something that is, when it comes to tourism, extremely important. Therefore, as cultural institutions, why do they need to be accessible to all? Why do they need to be inclusive? Many of our previous speakers said a couple of things which is very important. So it's a sustainable and profitable decision for the beginning. We can say that being accessible, not just the cultural institutions, but also the accommodation, the transport, all other types of offering that the destination offers is extremely important, because it's a moral imperative, something that is ethical, correct, it's the right thing to do. Like Natasha said, we are not different from, there is not us and them. We are all human beings with all similar wishes and needs. So in terms of sustainability, that's a normal thing. It's the right thing to do. In terms of profitable investment, it's a good business decision. Jelena said also that you actually heard from the very beginning of today, many people with disabilities, many people with small children, many people, we are getting old, many people with a reduced mobility exists in the world. It's our market. If you don't assess them, if you don't take account their needs, you are losing a market. If you are accessible and inclusive, not just in cultural institutions, but in any other offering, you are definitely improving visitor satisfaction. And again, many research show that if your visitors, your guests are satisfied with your service, with your staff and all together, they will talk about it. Now they will share on social media. They will communicate how good you are or how bad you are. So if you're accessible, if they feel comfortable, if they feel that they are there, as Natasha said, feel safe, feel appreciated with their different needs, they will talk about it. They will recommend your institutions or other offerings. And if you are good, very good, and like Jelena said, they can even boost repeat visits. So because they feel good and they know they can go to your facility and experience everything that you are offering. Again, just like Jelena said, all these elements actually enhance this institution reputation and makes them social responsible. So if you are an institution that is inclusive, that is accessible, that actually sends a signal that you are the one who cares about the values, diversity, inclusion, and community altogether. You're not just focusing on profit and on tourists, but you are actually an institution that matters. And this signals and that matters to your visitors, to your local residents, and it also matters to donors and potential fund sources. So you can get even financial support, like Jelena already said. So if you're not inclusive, then you are making a very clear communication, which is negative. You are excluding a large part of people because it seems that you don't care about their stories, don't care about their opinions. You are missing business opportunities, lost business and revenue from your visitors. And what is the saddest part of it? Like a society altogether, we fail to properly care for our heritage, for our culture, for our identity. And if you lose that, we are in a very wrong place. Like any other offerings, we heard a lot about this during the whole day. There are many challenges when it comes to be accessible in cultural institutions. Just imagine castles, old buildings where theaters are, or old buildings where you have museums and so on. Those buildings have been built a long time ago. Nobody thought about accessibility issues back then. And now it's very difficult to make them accessible. And in terms of, particularly when it comes to old buildings, then you have conservation issues and permits. There is a objective reasons why some of them cannot be accessible in terms of physical barriers. Physical barriers are the most obvious ones when it comes to challenges in terms of cultural institutions. Those old buildings have you usually do have very narrow corridors, very difficult to move around, uneven surfaces, very high stairs, and so on. In addition to physical barriers, which are almost visible, the other ones are sensory limitations. So, for instance, like Jelena said, when you're entering the hotel, if your hotel is accessible to people with wheelchair, but you can't go to the pool and all other facilities that the hotel is offering, then I don't think that hotel is accessible as it promotes itself. The same thing is about the cultural museums, galleries, and so on. If you have people with a visible disabilities, then maybe they can enter your gallery. But if you have everything, just make in a visual, like, how do you say it, like a visual posters, sorry, visual posters, then this person cannot experience what you are offering. The same thing is about deaf people if you don't have audio guides and so on. And also, like Federica in the morning said, very important, easy language. If you have people with cognitive disabilities, they might have some kind of issues for understanding the information that you are trying to share with them if that information is not properly set up. So in that case, you are not intellectually accessible altogether. This was just a recap of everything that we saw. Today, I'm going to show you a couple of examples. Again, just for you to see how things can be done. Obviously, being a realist, I think that we can all agree that not every museum, every gallery, or every castle can be accessible, but we can make some small steps forward, maybe get some idea from good practice examples, and try to make your places, cultural institutions more accessible, at least to some part. So the first example is a natural history museum in London. I didn't make a screenshot. I'm going to show you their website because I think it's much better to go there. Oh, like that. Just 1 second. Okay. Okay. So here you can, as we seen today from Roberto, he said, and Yellen also said, please make some clear information. What is accessible in your destination, in your museum, or is it accessible at all? It's much better to be honest with what you are promoting than not to say anything or lie, obviously. So here, this museum goes beyond the merely being physical accessible to other to all people. So it goes. You can check on here. Here you can see that they are actually thinking about all kinds of people with disabilities. So obviously they are accessible for people with wheelchairs, toilets, lifts, and so on. However, they are also thinking about children and families with neurodiverse conditions. And what I really appreciate when I saw is the thing that they have programs for this kind of people. And for instance, this dawn hours relaxed morning visit is very. I think that this could be done in many sites. They are actually focusing to people who are not feeling very comfortable with a large group of people if it's very noisy. So you can actually book a time in the morning when it's much less people. And what is also important, extremely, this kind of visits are supported by experienced autism-aware facilitators. So they have trained staff who can actually go and makes you go through that kind of experience. So I don't think that that's something that can't be done in many places. Obviously, they do have audio guides. They are allowing people with guide dogs. They also have a British Sign Language deaf-led tours. So they are focusing on many types of people with many types of disabilities. In addition to that, one example from it, one example, okay, we are here, is the other example that I choose to show you today is a museum in Ancona in Italy. Probably everybody already said that you recognize it. There is a short video for our Croatian people who are maybe not seen and saw that. I think it's very interesting, and one of the reasons why I would go over there. So let's check if you can see.
Crescere la tua attività, giusto? Hai quindi bisogno di uno strumento che semplifichi il tuo marketing online, qualcosa che sia intuitivo, conveniente, ricco di funzionalità, Touching beauty. The Museo Omero is located in Ancona, in Italy. It is internationally recognized as an excellence because it is the only state tactile museum in the world. It is also a forerunner of accessibility for its expertise, experience, and commitment to the inclusion of everyone, and not only visually impaired people. Our aim is to welcome everybody. Our museum breaks down every barrier and works as a tool to achieve real inclusion for all types of visitors. As a tactile museum, the Museo Omero contains more than 200 works that can be seen and touched. First of all, we have copies in clay of original classical masterpieces, true copies that represent a three-dimensional encyclopedia of the history of sculpture. There are also original sculptures made by important Italian and foreign artists, but also in-section architectural models of important monuments, such as the Parthenon, the Dome of Florence Cathedral, and St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Of course, everything can be touched and explored by those who can and those who can see. The Museo Omero collaborates with numerous cultural institutions and museums in Italy and abroad. It has had significant international relationships with the Louvre in Paris, the British Museum in London, the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, and also collaborations with the University of Yamanashi in Japan. The Museo Omero can export its expertise in the field of staff training on issues regarding accessibility. Thanks to its experience, the museum can act as a consultant on the production and setup of tactile museum itineraries. It offers training courses on the key concepts of accessibility. Moreover, the museum produces typhodidactic aids, such as, for example, the translation of paintings in relief drawings or in low relief, but also tactile books, which are very interesting from a didactic point of view for children. Then it has a traveling section titled Beautiful and Accessible, which is made of 24 works, reproductions of ancient artworks, some original sculptures, and also architectural models of monuments. More importantly, everything is already organized and ready to be an accessible exhibition, especially for non-sighted people. We recently inaugurated a new section dedicated to Italian design. The collection includes 32 industrial objects.
You can see what. You can see that even this video is accessible, and it's also with sign language. And so slowly, you have titles over there, so they are really thinking about everything. Also, I know that all museums cannot do this tactile thing. However, they do. They go beyond just making this exhibition like that. They also conduct, as you heard, certain educational activities. So they are reaching out to others who are interested to get an idea how to make more accessible. The last example, I won't go too much in detail here. Again, I found this Castello di Rivoli in Italy. Never been there. I would like to go there. However, they are also, in addition to be accessible to the people with reduced mobility, I saw over there they do have, for instance, places for children, breastfeeding corners. They organize different kind of education again with, for people with sensory, cognitive, and mental disabilities, specific visits. So they again are a good example of how to make cultural and this kind of institutions very accessible. Again, they also offer different kind of workshops for the schools, families on topic on accessibility, which means they are reaching out and they are trying to communicate how important it is for culture to be accessible to all. Now, again, Jelena, something more about nature.